Welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica Long. With me, we have Jimmy Broussard, who's the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator with St. Mary OHSEP. And we are back at that time again today, just to date for this show so that we can kind of get an idea of where we are. Wednesday, August 31st. And we are commemorating at least 3 hurricanes that have been right around this time. If you remember, 2021, we just had Hurricane Ida. 2005, we commemorated Hurricane Katrina. And if we go a little bit further back, 1992, Hurricane Andrew, all of which I think has given many of us PTSD of some sort or trigger or trauma.
Yes.
But that's just kind of where we are. Again, I know you're not a meteorologist, but what's out there right now? I mean, is there anything that we should have any concern for around this time? Because it always happens around this time.
Well, yes, that's true. Labor Day weekend is usually a hot spot for the Gulf and everything else. But right now, currently, as of yesterday, we had 3 systems that the Weather Service is looking at, but they're all in the Atlantic. There's nothing in the Gulf area, so we're good for the next 5 days at least.
At least 5 days. However, with the season that they predicted, was it supposed to be I guess, pretty active season?
Yes, it is. And they still had their chances of named storms was up to 20. Hurricanes was 10, and major hurricanes was 5.
Yes, that's pretty active. And we are still in the thick of things. I mean, hurricane season typically does not wrap up until November 30th.
Right.
So we're in August going into September.
Right, that's correct. We had a big stretch without any named storms. We're still on C, right? The next one's going to be in a D. But you figure this, the big break that we had, there's still a chance for that prediction to come to fruition.
Would you say that all the rain that we've experienced, did that kind of help, or is that helping? Because we are still also experiencing more rain to come, possibly in the next
correct.
5 days.
But it's not really helping as far as if we get a storm coming our way, because the ground's all saturated. I mean, the water levels in our area are okay, but in other areas, they're in flood stage, like East Louisiana, Southern Mississippi's in a flood stage right now.
And that's really, you're right, it's not a very good position, because you think about it, if we have a hurricane come right now with all the major winds that it brings with it, the roots of trees are pretty brittle or fragile.
Right.
And so that would allow a lot of the trees to kind of just topple over.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly what will happen.
Yeah.
And if you want to look at past storms from last year, and this was our season last year, if you can see the number of storms.
Spaghetti motto.
21 storms.
Yeah.
And Ida's included in there. Ida was even had deaths and fatalities all the way up in New York with that system. Also all the damage in Terrebonne Parish, South Louisiana, and everything else. Category 4 storm.
So again, right now, and again, I told you, I said, if this changes, we will definitely have to do another show. We'll update. Of course, we'll be out there on the front lines giving all the information. But most people are very concerned about evacuation.
Right.
Are you guys prepared? Are you ready? You are the emergency preparedness, but are you prepared?
Well, when we were sitting down right here, I got a phone call from OHSEP, and we were discussing with Red Cross plans and our plans with our sister parish up north. Finalizing a few details. We still have MOUs out that we've done. We have with the bus drivers, with the school board buses, and then we have one with the neighboring parish up north for them to facilitate receiving our evacuees from here. We have plans within our administration to have a pickup point in Franklin and one at Morgan City Junior High to bring parishioners up north to the shelters.
One of the things about a hurricane is that we do have a few days notice, you know, unlike, let's say, places who experience tornadoes. But the devastation left behind by hurricanes are so expansive. I mean, they go across several states. and they
correct.
continue, and they've gone up as far, I'm sure, like New York. I
New
mean,
York, yes.
they've felt a lot of the storms, and they think, why do you guys live in the South? Well, let me tell you something. Every place has their natural weather phenomenon,
That's
right?
correct. Yep.
Yep.
Every place has flooding, fires. We don't have the wildfires that some of them have, so we good on that case.
Yeah, we got too much water for fire.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the forecast ahead, what we should be doing, planning, because I think we're safe right now, but you should always be prepared and in planning mode. So come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast with yours truly. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I'm your host, Danica. Along with me, we have Jimmy Broussard, who's the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator with St. Mary OHSEP. Now, let's talk about preparedness and planning. And I'm going to tell you, I guarantee there's some things in this book, and this is actually this is the updated book.
Yes,
This is
Louisiana
the updated
Emergency
version.
Preparedness Guide. We have those available to the public.
And they're very, very useful. I think if you see them, do not pass it by, take it, because there's a lot of useful information in here. Right now, I'm turned to the emergency supply checklist. And I guarantee, I don't know how many people, maybe some of the old schoolers may know, but one of the things that I found fascinating is fill up your bathtub with water. Who thinks about doing that? And the purpose is you could use that water to flush your toilet. You may need to have a portable toilet, anything, but even just for washing.
Take a sponge bath, or,
Yep.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, the main reason is you just have available water there in case drinking water is gone. You can take that and boil it and drink water, use it to flush your toilets, because let's face it, you can need something there if the water's off. And that's a very good thing to do. Some people get gallons of water, cases of water. That's always good to have too. You're drinking one, cooking for the other.
Yeah.
Because you still got to eat.
Yeah.
So you got to cook your meals.
Yeah.
And all that's available right then and there. Something else that's on your checklist is medicines. And especially people that's on a lot of medicine and they have a pharmacy next door or close by in town. Whenever a storm gets out in the Gulf or whatever, you should restock your medicines. At least have a 2-week supply, because if a storm comes your way and electricity and the stores are knocked out, you need access to your medicine. So you need to keep it with you. Put it in a box in Ziploc bags or whatever so it doesn't get wet. Keep all that with you. And if you go somewhere, bring it with you.
Yeah. I mean, and look, we've had much experience with this, and even our neighbors and our friends and family to the east of us in Homa, lower parts of Terrebonne, Lafourche, they know all too well of what preparation could have done, should have done, and the coulda, woulda, shouldas, right? And it would have been us had it not shifted kind of at the last minute last year for Ida.
We would have been in the eyeball of the storm for sure.
Oh yeah.
But our people in St. Mary Parish, we helped all the people that we could with Ida. We gave places to stay. We set up shelters for them. We had our trailer parks, and camper parks. The RV parks was full with those people. They got gas from our gas stations, food.
There were other organizations that actually used us kind of as a post. They set up here and would go and travel into those areas and then come back and just kind of and do it all over again. So one thing I can tell you about just South Louisiana, I mean, we're resilient people, but we're always willing to help others. I mean, because any day now or any day, it could be us.
That's correct.
That's what it is. Also, I want to make mention that also have your cell phones charged up and maybe have those portable chargers.
Portable charger.
Because there's a couple of numbers that you should be aware of, and that is 511. That is if you're looking for any road detours, if there's any road constructions, or I don't think they're going to be doing contraflow at least I don't think that's happening anytime
we won't do that soon.
But always want to make sure that you're aware of the road conditions. Also 211.
211.
That's also another one, and that's where you can find lots of resources. And I
Yes,
think
that's
even
correct.
with that's United Way, is it not?
United Way, the
An American
VOEDS, and
Cross,
all
and
that.
yeah, American Red
They
Cross.
have information. We feed 211 information so that you got a question about this, you call 211. They have access to that and can give it out to you.
And I'm going to throw us on the list. Of course, make sure to subscribe to us on Facebook. We also will have a crawl on KWBJ where
Right.
we like to put a lot of the information out. And of course, you'll likely see my face on your Facebook Live giving information, talking to a lot of our public officials, trying to get that information out to you to keep you abreast as if there's evacuation, if there's voluntary evacuation, mandatory, whatever it is. So thank you. We have some more things to talk about outside of hurricane. We're crossing our fingers, on our hands and knees, and praying that we are spared this season. But come on back. We've got some other things we want to talk about with Homeland Security and the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica Long, and with me we have Jimmy Broussard, who is the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator with St. Mary OHSEP. We often talk about hurricane preparedness when you guys come in,
Right.
but there's also something else that we have been talking about for now 2 years. Can you believe that we have been talking about COVID for 2 years? We've been in the throes of this pandemic, and for sure, I'm gonna tell you, 2020, 2021, it's kind of a blurb. I think those years just they were here and we were in it. There's gone, and now we're back in it.
Right.
How are you guys managing when it comes to just COVID resources and outreach?
Well, in the beginning, we had to go through the hoops to get a lot of PPE supplies, and we started off with our first responders, the medical, fire, and police, getting them outfitted and equipped with what they need. And after that, we trickled down to the government workers and people that's dealing with the public a lot, make sure that, and with the stores, and kind of gave them a heads up on what precautions they need to take.
Do you remember the hysteria, like people running to the stores and grabbing toilet paper and
Yes,
water?
we had the paper towels, toilet paper, it like disappeared.
Yes.
What are they doing with it?
Would you say that we're comfortable living in with COVID now? I mean, do you think
Yeah,
that
it's becoming a norm, so to say. But if you catch it, it's not a norm, you know. So
Yeah.
you still have to be aware and take precautions, hand sanitizer, you know, and coming in contact with people that's sick or whatever. They need to take their own precaution measures and stay home so that they don't get others sick, you know.
Let me tell you something. I maybe I should be able to answer this too. I know I'm the person doing the interviewing, but like I think people are just so comfortable because now we have monkeypox, and it's almost like okay,
Yeah,
just one more thing I gotta just be mindful of.
Something else to think about.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think if they implemented a mandate, people would adhere to it. I mean, do you think that people are just over it?
People are just tired, sick and tired of it. Yeah, I understand that fact, but we still have to be on a defensive side and try to prevent anybody from getting it.
Because I'm gonna tell you, I think when monkeypox was first introduced, just on you're hearing about it, making the announcements through social media, the news, TV. And I'm gonna tell you, I just knew it was. I was like, well, one day we're gonna hear it is now. There's a case in Louisiana.
Right.
What are we looking at now? What are the stats? Do you recall?
I don't know the stats, but I know about the vaccines that they're getting vaccines to the state agencies, and they're dividing that into regions, and then they're putting more of it towards the areas that have the most cases or whatever right now. I think they've got a handle on all of it. It's just that we have to stop the spread of it, and that's going to be an individual to be able to stop the spread. They've got to take their own measures to prevent that from happening.
And that's kind of where you guys also come in, because like you said, there are going to be vaccination sites within St. Mary Parish?
Yes, but that's only for specific groups of people and all of that. They have the specifics that they have to look at before they can get a vaccination.
Kind of sort of like how the COVID vaccination was rolled out.
That's
Specific people first,
Yep.
and then of course they open it up to the general public. I mean, now your child, a young child can get can get the COVID vaccination, and we may be
Yes.
looking at that when it comes to monkeypox.
I don't think so. I
No.
don't think it's going to go that far.
Not that far? Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to look ahead and see what's going, because you just never know. There's so much that changes.
Yeah.
And again, I talked to you about just, are you guys ready? Are you prepared? Yes.
Well,
Are
we
you
have an
ready for-
inventory of ample amount of PPE for the parish, you know, to cover what we need to have a good start on everything. So many days of supplies in stock if we have to, this case and another case. And we're still getting more supplies from GOSEF and all that. So we're doing pretty good right now.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about education, because not only are you just here, obviously, educating individuals, but you go to different sites and there's education on things that you guys do. So come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast with yours truly. Welcome back to The Voice of the Coast. Again, I'm your host, Danica. Along with me, Jimmy Broussard, who's the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator with St. Mary OHSEP. Now, we want to talk a little bit about education, because, I mean, I asked you already, are you prepared? Are you ready? And you're like, yes, we are ready. We go through these procedures and protocols all the time, particularly with first responders.
Right.
And you work hand in hand with them on situations like active shooters. That is a
Yes.
big to-do. We just recently had the town hall series talking about, you know, everyone says, what if it happens here? And it very well could.
Right. Well, I can tell you this, the law enforcement group led by the sheriff's office and all the municipal police chiefs, they have taken a stand on making sure that their uniformed patrol officers are trained. They have actively gone this year to every school that I know of in Parish, and have taken some sort of class to the teachers or whatever, situational reports, the school board they've talked to, and they've went through, okay, if this situation happens, you know, like a discussion about it and all that. Then the officers and the fire and the ambulance, they have their own tabletop discussions on what they do. And a few years ago, they actually did a full mock-up exercise over here in Morgan City, and that was pretty successful and everything. Now, we've had classes online that comes out. If the officers cannot get to, you know, a class to be instructed on, in-person class, they can look at them up online and see what techniques and stuff they need to do. And that's on certain sites that they can only get to.
Yeah.
So they are trained for it.
I think one of the concerns that the kids mentioned was that usually the culprits are students. And they were scared that, you know, well, you're showing likely suspects, you know, what the drill is. But
What we do,
are
yes.
there maybe side discussions with staff and administration that maybe the students are not privy to?
That's correct.
Okay.
We don't publicize that, and I know a lot of people want to know exactly what y'all going to do if this situation happens. With the law enforcement, they know what to do, but they're not going to publicize it, okay?
Right.
And they also take classes, stop the bleed, you know, in case somebody gets shot or whatever, trauma kits, they have that they train with. Tourniquet, I think every officer should have a tourniquet.
Do we have SWAT? Do we
Yes,
have
we
SWAT
do.
members? We do?
Yes.
Okay.
That's at the sheriff's office, and some police departments have members that's there involved, integrated into that, all that.
Also, something else that your office works with, particularly if there's like a pipeline explosion or
Yes.
pipeline leak. I think the last time we may have had something of that magnitude was maybe in Franklin some years ago.
A couple of years ago in
Yeah.
Franklin, yes, we did. We had a pipeline rupture when a tractor driven by a farmer hit
that's
the
right.
pipeline, and all the cloud of the chemicals went up in the air, and we had to find which pipeline is it, you know, who do we call, and all of this. So I was going through the motions because of finding out which pipeline it was, while the other officers on the road, they were blocking off the sections and all that, getting everybody away, evacuating the subdivision.
Right.
You know, they were taking care of all that. They were doing what they needed to do.
And would you say there was a lesson learned there? Because I mean, no situation is perfect, right? So
That's correct.
yeah.
But you have to have an inkling of what needs to be done when you get there. You need to do this, and you know, that's tabletop exercises come out and play with that. And we've done that constantly with the pipeline companies. We've had like 3 this year already, training classes.
Well, thank you for giving us a little more insight into what it is that your department does. And also, we thank you for joining us. As always, make sure to subscribe to us on Facebook. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.